So, I mean, from a professional point of view, I'm a researcher, so I'm passionate about understanding why consumers make certain decisions and why they make certain choices. And I did that from my time at university, because I did political sciences, wanted to understand why people choose certain political parties and how they're influencing their decisions. And then that was moved me into more of a commercial world. Why do people choose certain toothpastes? Why do they go to certain places? You know, what drives them? And so I did a lot of research, global research actually. So I've done a lot of research in Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, and then eventually I went into automotive. So everything about cars. And I worked for a long time for an American company where I tried to understand how satisfied people are with the car that they buy. You know, how it drives, how it feels, fuel economy, does it make funny squeaks and strange noises? And then we report back to the car manufacturer and they improve all that stuff. And that's also if you want to get your car serviced. So, you know, how is that service experience? Usually pretty bad. And how does that all work and how can it be improved? So we did you get like Trustpilot, all these different ratings and things. So we would do the same thing, benchmark all the brands. And we do that around the world. So I did quite a lot in Germany and the UK, France and Italy. Then I moved to Singapore. We did that in India, Australia, China. So all from the point of view from the customer. So Angus MacBride is the company I set up after I left Singapore. We try and understand what consumers want and how do the different mobility systems fit into their needs, rather than a governmental perspective or a regulatory perspective of this is what we think they need. We want to understand how do consumers react to that and how do they change their behavior. But there's kind of 4 points of the business. So one is how do we do that? How do we free up cities and make it easier? How do you make it more active for people so they're actually doing things instead of just jumping in their car, they're on a bicycle, or they're walking, it's more healthy? How do we move away from, you know, diesel particles and petrol pollution to more of a zero emissions? So I'm very focused on how to improve EV adoption or hydrogen, it's green hydrogen vehicles, trucks and buses. So we work around that, the company, understanding how to get businesses and consumers to think about moving and adopting to EV technology. The other thing is about how do you make mobility attractive for people at the time that they need it? So how does it work seamlessly for you so that you can get on a bicycle and cycle, let's say, to the airport from here? You could do that on your e-bike. You don't need to take a taxi or even a bus. You could go on a bicycle if the weather's okay. That's what Angus MacBride looks at, is what are consumers looking at, what do they want, and how they are changing their opinions and purchasing behavior. But you can't sell more cars when the world is like, you know, traffic jams and gridlock, and it doesn't work. So what I really wanted to understand is how do you change mobility, new mobility around how consumers think about the choices that they make in the products and services they can buy. So it's very dynamic, as you can imagine. So you have, you know, Dundee is very granular. Dundee might be doing something. London has its, you know, emission area, so you can't drive into a particular part of the city with a diesel car. So suddenly people are forced to buy electric cars. And then what's the choice? What do they choose? And this will pop up in different parts of the world, in different cities, in different localities. And that all affects people's decisions, what manufacturers have to do. So they have to be much more nimble on their feet. And then on top of it, there's also, you know, having a car is a lot about aspiration and a status symbol in some markets. You know, certainly some countries like China, it's a massive statement of what brand I have and what type of car I have. While in other markets, like say if you go to Netherlands, it's probably more of a utility. You know, it fits in with my bicycle and other public transport. It's just a device to get me from A to B. It's less of a status symbol. Consumer opinion may change, and suddenly what you think is going to be adopted in your market overnight changes. So like with COVID, you know, we're all talking about the sharing economy, and we can share with all kinds of different things, particularly mobility. Now people are going, no, maybe I actually want my own car again. I don't want to go on the bus. I don't really feel too confident. So that will shift, external factors, internal changes in opinion, all these things, as well as regulatory requirements. Well, that's easy because obviously we're in we're in Angus, and my mother's maiden name is MacBride. So there we go. As simple as that. And the website was available, the .com, supporting manufacturers globally around selling cars, and really understanding that you can't keep on selling cars for environmental issues, for just quality of life in cities. I lived in Singapore, and that was fine, but Jakarta, Bangkok, Mumbai is all gridlock, terrible traffic issues. The same in the UK, European countries. In America, you always think about this LA trip, everybody's sitting in their cars. Basically, it's another room in their house. They're in that car for so long. So the quality of life is really deteriorating. And manufacturers understand that for them to continue to sell cars, they have to sell cars in a different way and have a different use of them. So, for Angus MacBride, I think it's just simply, we started just under a year ago, and very luckily, without having to market, we've had clients come to us. So just the fact that, we've been able to set up the business, and our proposition has been attractive enough for clients from Canada, US, Germany, Singapore to come to us and say, we're very happy to work with you. We've got these projects, and that's been really interesting to keep that global perspective, and being able to, be in Scotland, which is nice. From my perspective, is getting all your paperwork in order. It sounds so dull, but it is actually. Getting all your legal agreements and documents, just the templates for contracts and things in place, making sure your accounts are all there. I set up a business account, and I didn't realize it wouldn't accept dollars or euros. Simple things like that. So just getting the basics are really important, getting your website up and ready. So that's the one thing, and I think the other one is just tenacity and just be confident with what you're doing. I like cycling and I like playing squash, and I also do film and documentaries. I've just finished producing a film with a friend in India, an artist in India. So we spent like a year doing this, so she's finally edited it. So we're trying to market that and get it into a gallery or exhibition. I did a podcast I did one on gardens in Calcutta. Sounds so obnoxious, preposterous. But no, I was interested because my friend Paramita has a rooftop garden in Calcutta, and she was talking about how it was growing, and there was a tremendous storm and everything was destroyed. Good 90% of it was destroyed. And then I was talking to her, who else has roof gardens in Calcutta? So we started doing these interviews with people. If I'm talking about reinvigorating myself, I love going to India. India is so colorful, so dynamic. The Rajasthan is beautiful with the deserts and the color of the clothes. It's absolutely beautiful. These big palaces and lovely markets. And then you have Kerala, which is in the south, which is more tropical and much more alive in terms of river and fish and bubbling activities of people. It's not so hot, it's very humid, beautiful beaches. Yeah, and the cities are all very different. Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai, beautiful cities. Super loud, very chaotic, incredibly chaotic. Yeah, but it gives you a lot of energy. Yeah, and very nice people. They're always very, very hospitable. Yeah. Tall. I didn't quite make 2 meters.